Federico, we're back with another episode of Mac Stories Unwind. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm ready for WWDC. I'm ready to leave and I'm excited.
Can you imagine just in one day, less than one day, you and I will see each other again? It's been a little while, you and I.
It's been a while, like a year and a half or something. Like
Yeah, because I was there around, I think in
fall
November.
2021.
Yeah, fall 2021. And then you and I were so busy moving last year that we didn't get together.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people that we're getting together with at WWC we haven't seen in 4 years probably.
I haven't seen Mike and Steven in 4 years.
And Alex
in 4 years. I haven't seen anybody else in 4 years, really.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was talking about this with Sylvia.
Uh-huh.
It kind of feels like COVID has reset sort of me as a person in terms of like, do I even know what to do in an airport anymore? I feel like I feel like I'm a newbie all over again when it comes to international travel. And that has made me a little bit nervous. And I told you this, like, I don't know, I woke up a couple of days ago and I started feeling like this sense of anxiety, like, will I be able to travel? Which is silly because I've done all of this many, many times before.
Right.
I've traveled by myself before. Like, I know how to do this, but still it feels like such a long time ago that, I don't know, it's very strange.
It is. And although I traveled a few times kind of during COVID and more recently, I still feel rusty at it because a couple of weekends ago, I went to visit my parents in Michigan and I flew up there with my brother. And that had been the first time I had flown since WWDC last year. So it had been almost a whole year and that wasn't really because I didn't want to fly or I didn't have any vacations planned. It's just because with the move we did, we just didn't have time to really do anything else and go anywhere. So I flew up there with him. The airport was really crowded and I just felt really rusty at traveling. But, I got on the plane and I had like 20 songs on my iPhone. And I was like, oh no, it's a good thing it's a short flight because I don't have much music to listen to and I only had a couple of podcasts. So
right. Yeah. So that's one of the things that I've been doing this week. Like I've been using Things as my task manager. And one of the things I really like in Things is how you do checklists inside of a task. And so I have this task called Things to Pack. And it's like, it also has things like download offline music and TV shows. And I made a list of the TV shows that I want to download. And of course, like I'm just bringing my Nintendo Switch with me because I want to play Zelda. That's all I'm playing at the moment. But like all these things, and I've been stressing over the details, like, okay, I got my passport. I got some United States dollars on me. Right. I called my credit card company. They know that I'm going to travel. I have my boarding pass. And like, I double checked all the details many, many times, but still, I think I'm gonna feel okay once I'm on the plane toward California. Like once I'm on the plane, I know that like at that point it's out of my control. And it's always also very stress-inducing when you gotta cross the United States border. Even like obviously, I haven't done anything wrong, but the United States border officers, I don't know, they're so intimidating, and I'm very much intimidated by.
A lot of them can be jerks. I mean, even to Americans. Like when I when I returned from Europe, I've been hassled by people, more than once. I mean, for instance, I was born in France, and they would say, "Where were you born?" I said, "I was born in France," and they're like, "Why?" I was like, what do you mean, why? I mean, it's where my parents lived at the time. It's like, it was one of those things. And I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of times they just kind of take a quick look at my passport and let me through it. But I've also had some bad experiences with just rudeness and kind of like, gruff attitudes about returning, like, why are you coming back to the United States? Well, I was like, well, I live here. I mean, I was gone. I was visiting some friends and, I'd be like, my son lives in Ireland. And he was like, why does he do that? Is he a student? I'm like, no. And, it's just one of those things. It's like, they ask all these questions and it's like, well, you want to tell them none of your business, but that'll get you a trip to the back room.
Yeah. And usually they ask you like, what's your reason for travel? And usually at the San Francisco airport, I usually say I'm going to the Apple conference. And there's always the guy who's like, why? Are you a developer? Are you press? And you gotta explain what you're doing. And one time I got a really nice person, And this officer was apparently a big fan of Italy. And so we just started chatting about Rome. And when I was done, he just put the stamp on my passport and he said, ciao.
Well, that was nice. That was nice. Yeah, I mean, personally, I would probably just say I'm visiting friends because that's true too. And I don't know. It usually avoids complications. Like when I visited you in Italy, I told the Italian authorities I'm just visiting a friend. I don't tell them, oh, I'm coming to have like a business meeting, because then you're like, it becomes a whole thing. Oh, am I doing something am I bringing in like, products that have to be taxed by the EU or something like that? It's like, no, it's none of that. It's like, we're just getting together
I have my computer and a microphone.
Right. We're going to go out and have dinner and chat about Mac stories or something. But yeah, I know how you feel. I mean, I am a little rusty too. I have some very specific questions for you, Federico.
Okay.
You said you're bringing your Switch.
Yes.
Are you bringing your Amiibo to get your daily downloads?
No, I'm not. I feel like it's probably not a good idea to bring a bag full of Amiibos.
A bunch of NFCs attached to little plastic toys.
Cross the US border with a plastic bag full of Amiibos. Probably not a good idea.
I might do it. I don't know.
So in terms of gear, I'm bringing my Nintendo Switch. I'm bringing two of everything: 2 iPhones, 2 iPads, because I'm gonna have a stable build of iOS on one and the beta immediately on the other.
Oh, okay.
What else? I'm gonna bring a couple of surprises in terms of, well, you'll see. I don't want to spoil the surprise.
Okay.
Switch and my Anker 737 battery, which should be okay for bringing it in the carry-on bag on the plane, because I checked the FFA regulations. As long as the battery is under 100 watts per hour, should be fine. Mm-hmm. And the Anker one that I got, which is this thick brick of a battery, that's like 76 watts per hour, I think. So that's okay for travel on plane.
Yeah.
And just an iPad Pro full of TV shows and music. I'm catching up on Succession because I'm still stuck on season 3, even though somehow I managed to spoil myself the ending of Succession, which is not great. So still an enjoyable experience.
I'm stuck on season 1. I got to like episode 2 or 3 and it was like, annoying rich people. And I stopped watching.
Season 2 gets so much better. Season 3 starts very slow and then it picks up. And season 4, the last one, apparently it's also very, very good. So you should keep watching it. Right. What else? Like my Nintendo Switch, AirPods Pro. I'm debating whether I want to bring the AirPods Max or my Focal Bathys Bluetooth headphones, which are a recent purchase for me. So I'm debating the two because the AirPods Max have far superior noise cancellation, but I slightly prefer the comfort and the sound quality of the Bathys.
I cannot carry headphones that big with me. I mean, yes and no. I mean, I don't know. I like just having the AirPods Pro for an airplane.
Yeah, they're much more comfortable for a plane.
But that said, I am bringing the new Audio Technica headphones that you recommended to me, because we talked about this on the last episode of App Stories in the pre-show for App Stories Plus subscribers. I really needed a new pair of wired headphones, mostly for podcast editing, but when I'm on the road. But also I wanted to have a versatile enough pair that I could use for something like playing on the Switch or something else if I wanted to. And they're really nice. They do have a pretty good case, even though I think I told you I wanted to be able to carry them around without a case. I may bring the case just in case, because that way they won't get damaged right out of the box, so to speak, when they're in my bag. But I don't know. I've got similar stuff to you. I've got a USB audio interface for recording app stories while we're there and unwind. My microphone, a microphone cable, my MacBook Air, M1 MacBook Air. I think I'm gonna bring the iPad Pro that I have on loan from Apple. I think that'll be the sacrificed iPad for the summer for testing out iPad OS 17.
I just realized, and I can ask you this on the show. Do you have a spare microphone cable? Because I just realized that.
Do you not?
That I do, but I gotta undo the cable management that I did.
Oh yeah, you don't want to do that. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Let me take a look. I'll look. I think I probably do. I'll double check today and let you know. But it's going to be pretty simple for me. It's going to be those things and the Switch and the headphones, and that'll be pretty much my backpack, which will be fairly full and heavy as a result, because an iPad Pro plus a MacBook Air is a pretty hefty load in itself, but I got a good battery too. Similar to yours, a little different though, I think. I forget what one it is. I think it's Anker, but it's not the same one.
I set up an AirTag for my suitcase today.
Oh.
So I'm putting an AirTag in there. And I think on the plane in the carry-on bag, I'm just going to do iPhone, iPad Pro, Nintendo Switch, AirPods. I think that's what I'm going to do.
All right. I have a top tip for AirTags. I actually took an AirTag and I kind of glued it inside my sunglasses case because I have a bad habit of going to like restaurants and leaving my glasses behind. You know, sometimes I give them to Jennifer and she puts them in her bag or something, but sometimes she's not carrying one or whatever. I have a bad habit of leaving like baseball hats or sunglasses behind in places. And so now I've got an AirTag in my sunglasses so I can find them again.
There's a fun question in here that you put in our notes. What's something you always forget to bring on a trip?
Yes. What is yours? I know what mine is.
I think I always forget like backup, like aspirins or stuff like that.
That's important, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. I always forget. Yeah, in case I get a headache or something. I should. I also tend to forget. I always end up with fewer cables than I want, which is why, like, I try to get double of everything this year, like double, because I also gotta remember like power adapters for the US plugs, like the US wall plugs.
Right.
So I bought 2 of those, and the Apple Watch charger. Somehow I always lose the Apple Watch charger. Now I have an Apple Watch Ultra, which, you know, obviously the battery lasts more, but it doesn't go over 2 days. So I mean, worst case scenario, I mean, we're literally in Cupertino. I can swing by the company store, which I will have to do because I have a list of things that I gotta buy people, as I told you on App Stories. Furniture, the guy who works at the furniture shop where we go wants an Apple t-shirt. So I gotta get that. And a friend of mine asked me for some Reese's chocolate.
Oh, Reese's peanut butter cups?
Yeah, ask me
I'll
for
help you
that.
with those. Yeah, that's easy to find. To find. You won't have any trouble getting that. All right. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I aspirin, very important because especially when you're working long hours or maybe staying, you know, you're jet lagged, your sleep schedule is all messed up, you're likely to have a headache at some point. And so that's a good thing to bring. I always leave my toothbrush behind is really what it comes down to.
That's a bad thing to leave behind.
I know. Well, so I always end up running into like a drugstore and buying one, but I think it's because I have an electric toothbrush at home. So, you know, you can't really pack that. It's a little too bulky to pack. I mean, I could, I guess, but I don't. So I usually have a spare just toothbrush from the pharmacy that I bring along with me, but I often forget to bring it. So I'm going to, you know, I've made a mental note not to forget that this year.
Something that I forget while I'm in person at an event is to stay hydrated and go to the bathroom. Because you're so sort of caught up in all the events and meeting people,
and that'll lead to the headache. That's what leads to the headache too.
That's what I gotta remember to stay hydrated and take a bathroom break every once in a while. But it's easy to forget when you're busy and like you talk to some people and then you go to a briefing and then there's another event and suddenly it's 6 p.m. and you never gone to the bathroom, and that's bad, obviously bad.
Yeah, no, that's not good. I've got another one for you, Federico.
Okay.
What is something that you bring with you all the time, but you end up never using?
Yeah, well, the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, because that's what I was thinking about when I wrote the question, because I bring my Switch places like this, and I'll eventually realize that I'm not going to do it.
It's got the time, and when you're back in your hotel room in the evening, you're just destroyed from the day, and you gotta still wake up at 6:30 or 7 in the morning if you're busy.
Right.
It's like, who's got the time to play? But I think with Zelda, especially on the flight over to the US, I mean, that's like 11 hours, 11 and a half hours for me.
You're going to need that battery.
You can only eat so much food and get so many drinks on a plane, you know?
Yeah.
After a while, what are you going to do? Watch a TV show or play Zelda?
And that's why I decided to actually bring mine this year, was because of Zelda, specifically because I've got a long flight myself. I mean, now, since I'm not in Chicago anymore, it's an even longer flight. And I have found that despite being really busy the last several days working, I still have found time to slip in a little bit of Zelda just about every day. I think there was one day that I didn't play at all because I was just too too tired and went to bed early or something. But I've been playing a lot, and I think that the airplane ride is really the perfect time to do that.
All right. So do you have a pick for me this week?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I have a pick, something that I reviewed a while back. It's called Leia's Horizon from Snowman. Nice. It's a game, right? And this is an iOS game. It's been published by Netflix. Netflix, I give them a lot of credit. I've looked at their catalog. Unfortunately, it's not super easy to see their entire catalog because they're doing something that is kind of forced upon them by the way the App Store works, which is every single game is a separate game. They don't have like a catalog or anything where you can go see games published by Netflix or something like that. So Leia's Horizon, though, is from Snowman, who made Alto's Adventure. Absolutely fantastic game. I mean, this game will make your iPhone a little hot, though, because it's a 3D open world. Now, it's not a Zelda size open world by any stretch. And it's designed to allow you to kind of drop in, play for a while, and get out without, just like you can with really any mobile game, without kind of getting sucked in for long periods. I mean, you can do that, but it really is designed to be a mobile 3D open world. And the way they kind of do that is there are a lot of quests right away. There are things presented to you that you can do. It's got a system similar to Alto's where you level up by completing certain tasks. Like, I don't know, in Alto's, it would be like hit some certain number of llamas or jump over a certain number of campfires. And it's that kind of stuff. You do certain things, which is both kind of a tutorial, but also a way to advance in the game. And, speaking of tutorials, this game has a fantastic tutorial. I mean, I really feel like people at Snowman and the game developers working with them must be huge Nintendo fans, because I think sometimes a lot of the Nintendo first-party games have really well done tutorials, ways to ease you into a game and learn the mechanics. And this game does exactly that. I mean, it's not too long, but it gives you the hang of what is a fairly difficult, or not difficult, but I guess unique gameplay mechanic, which is you're playing in landscape mode and you're just using your thumbs. It's very, very broad gestures. So you will do things like one thumb up, one thumb down to bank to the right, or the other way to bank to the left, or both up to soar, or both down to dive. I forget which one is which, but in any event, you're just using your thumbs to kind of steer yourself around as you go from mountain to mountain. And each mountain has kind of a different biome, very much like Alto's Adventure, where there'll be one that's kind of tropical and one that's kind of snowy and other things like that. And along the way, you can dive into like hot air balloons, which will bounce you way up in the air. You can collect all sorts of items as you play. You can complete these quests and earn different kinds of wings. Really neat, fun game. And one that I think really plays to the strengths of mobile, but it also adapts it to a more open world concept that I don't think you see done very well on mobile games very well. So that's kind of my pick today. I don't know. I kind of was disappointed almost at first when I saw it and it didn't have controller support. But in the end, I think it works better using your thumbs, because it really feels more intimate and immediate when you're controlling your characters flying around from place to place, doing it that way. And it's a pretty cool game. Yeah.
Nice. Are you gonna play this on the plane?
Yeah, I may. I mean, I've been so sucked into Zelda. I haven't played really any other games for the last 2 or 3 weeks, however long it's been out. But it is a good one to really play with a phone. So I have a lot of games on my phone right now. I definitely put more games on my iPhone than I ever play. But
that is also true of the apps, to be fair.
Yeah, that is true of the apps too, I suppose. But that, at least I have, I guess, a professional interest in at least poking at them once in a while. But in any event, yeah, I'll give it a try maybe on the plane ride. Do you have anything for us today?
I do not, because I wanted to play Zelda again. So in Zelda, I don't think it counts as a spoiler. I've done the second temple of the main storyline. like you and others, I started with the Temple of Wind, which is the first sort of one in the northwest. It's an incredible sequence to get up to the northwest. And I was actually listening to the besties, and I didn't know. Chris Plant of Polygon was saying that he was able to get to the Temple of Wind sort of without doing the necessary story parts before.
Oh, wow.
Without the power of the Rito character that gives you like the gust sort of boost. He got there regardless, and he got to the Temple of Wind without that power, and the dungeon was basically broken because he couldn't do, he was there, and like the game didn't want him to be there, and he couldn't do anything to activate all the little fans that you need to unlock to open the gate for the first boss.
Right.
So it's pretty incredible to me that you can still sort of sequence break the game and get to a point where you're not supposed to be, where you can do nothing, which is, I guess, not surprising given the open world approach of Tears of the Kingdom, but still the game very much tells you like you're not supposed to be here. You should advance the story first.
Yeah, that's kind of what I did very early on with my wandering. I got to a point where it was like I was running into monsters that I had no way to defeat and things that I really couldn't do because I couldn't reach places.
I took advantage of the duplication glitch while it was still working.
Yeah.
But then Nintendo patched it so you could duplicate items in your inventory. And I duplicated some stamina mushrooms and some like hearty radishes, I think.
Those are hard to find.
That give you the yellow heart boost, like the extra hearts.
Yeah.
And so I stocked up on that. And also I duplicated some rubies and diamonds. So I got some rupees in return,
nice.
And I have 6,000 rupees. And then Nintendo closed the glitch, so I gave myself a little
boost,
a little help in the beginning of the game. But those items are already consumed and gone. So
well, I do want to mention that I think that this game does such a better job than Breath of the Wild with kind of the mechanics of things like arrows, the fact that you can just attach things to arrows and turn them into bomb arrows or fire arrows or whatever you want, as opposed to having to collect a certain number of those. I mean, I have a lot of arrows. There are arrows everywhere in this game. I actually the other day ran out of bows because I broke all my bows because I was really getting into the arrows for a while, and they've become my bombs. Remember the bombs in Breath of the Wild? You could just stand on a high spot and throw bombs down at monsters. Now I just stand on a high spot and practice my shooting arrows.
Yeah, it's so much better than elemental arrows from Breath of the Wild. Now you have much greater freedom in terms of like an arrow can be anything, and I agree, it's super fun.
All right, Federico. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. I can't believe I'm actually saying that, but soon enough. We'll be back again next week. We've got a fun episode planned for at WWDC with a special theme of travel and Federico and I being together. So we will be back in another week. You can find us on MacStories.net. Federico and I are both on Mastodon. Just go to fetici.macstories.net to follow Federico, and johnvorhees.macstories.net to follow me. And we're on Instagram, where Federico is at Vitici. That's VITICCI. And I'm at John Voorhees. JOHNVOORHWS. Talk to you next week, Federico.
I'll see you tomorrow.